Why, hello, you S-rank net battlers. Welcome to another exciting day where we preview the wide array of games that are available for Netrunner on Jinteki.net. Let's jump right in and see where all the action is. Cue camera. Cue camera. What? I'll get the hotkey eventually. Alright, let's see what we got. Ooh, I love that person's picture. The rainbow stormtrooper. Alright. Well, it's private, so we'll jump into this game. Looks like Shaper versus NBN. We won't know who it is until we get into the actual game. Smoke versus... Who is that? Asmari? Let me get the volume correct here. Okay. Smoke versus Asmari EdTech. Asmari, of course, gaining tons of money, and Smoke, once she's set up, breaks into servers dirt cheap with her stealth breakers. We see quite a few new cards here on the table. We see Mental, which is kind of the replacement for Cloak and Dagger, I would assume. Spend hosted credits to use hardware and programs. Definitely seems like the replacement for Cloak and Dagger. And then Anacam, which is a console, newly printed in the recent Uprising pack. The first time each turn an event is trashed from any location, draw one card. I believe that means, I think we went into this earlier, but it means when they play events, that's considered trashing an event, so they get to draw a card every time they play an event. Asmari is an older ID, but tried and true, and pretty strong, and usually very rich. Already has a 3 deep ice server with 1 ice each on R&D and HQ, and a score global food initiative, slamming and jamming, throwing another card in that remote and double advancing it, saying, Smoke, I know that you're going to be faster than me if I let you get set up, so I just need to rush out early. Now, a falsified credentials guessing agenda, I would assume here. Let me just double check. Yep. Falsified credentials reveals an SSL endorsement giving Smoke, what is it, 5 credits? 4 credits? It's sure gamble territory. Taking that money throws down a Penrose, which is the code gate breaker that doubles as a barrier breaker the first time you install it, which I think is a pretty nifty trick. Definitely very shapery. Goes ahead and then immediately runs the remote, runs into a slot machine. I think slot machine just fires, continues to go, and sees a Hydra. Hydra is a pretty fearsome beast in Acme when you just take 3 net damage up front from it. However, it's still a pretty respectable piece of ice, although at 10 credits to res, it's very expensive. Now what ends up happening is Smoke SMCs for Afterimage, and then uses Afterimage's pay 2 credits to bypass a sentry, which is so disgusting. Like, Corp spent 10 credits to res a Hydra, Smoke pays a total of 6 credits to just walk right through it. Now we see the, pardon me, we see the Data Raven. Now for some reason, Smoke sees the Data Raven and decides to bounce it. She decides not to go in for the SSL. Perhaps she's just happy that she made the Corp spend a bunch of money here, and she wants the Corp to continue spending money to advance this. Because if the Corp triple advances the SSL in the next turn, they'll be down to 1 credit. And the hard-hitting news is revealed. And she trashes it with Imp. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but she installed Imp on the table. Nice little Anarch include. Imp is a very, very strong card. Very fair in a lot of ways as well, when you factor in its cost, its MU cost, and the fact that it can only be used twice. It's very versatile as well. Has to be used intelligently, but very strong and potent when used. Asmari goes ahead and just scores the SSL. I mean, why wouldn't you? It seems to have been Smoke's plan to just allow SSL to be scored. Now, Smoke runs R&D and accesses a slot machine and uses the Imp token to trash slot machine. Runs again and steals a quantum predictive model. Of course, she's not tagged, so she gets to add that to her score area. Runs R&D a 3rd time. Now, she's charging up Netmerker with her Smoke credit here. accesses a final third card and is getting turning wheel counters off that as well. Not exactly a great place to be. I'm not quite certain why she allowed the SSL to be scored. She could have gone in and tried for it, but decided not to. And now Asmari has this super server, and with already rezzed ice, so what do? They throw a daily quest in there, res it, click for 2 credits, and say, if you want in here, you gotta get through all this ice again. Now, Smoke can pay a meager 2 credits to get through Hydra, but the Data Raven becomes a little more difficult to manage. Perhaps that's why she didn't break the Data Raven, because she would have needed to spend... Yeah, she would have needed to spend another stealth credit, although I thought she had one. Not entirely certain why. Again, that she didn't steal it. Perhaps it was just her goal all along to say, I only want R&D. I don't care if you steal that SSL. Now she runs R&D again. Slot Machine is revealed on R&D, rezzed, and the double subroutines fire. Smoke doesn't fight it, so she loses 3, and the Corp gains 3. So essentially they rezzed Slot Machine for free. Smoke then installs a simul chip and same old thing. Not same old thing. Self-modifying code. I think same old thing has been removed from the game. Back to Asmari, we get an ice on R&D. And a double click for credits. It's not looking good for Smoke. Smoke is more or less set up as far as her breakers go. But she doesn't have a ton of money. Dirty Laundry on Archives is going to give her a bit back. Yeah, and when she played Dirty Laundry, she also drew a card. She runs on RD again, sees a Thimble Rig. Thimble Rig is going to be a little annoying, especially if the Hydra is swapped onto R&D. Breaking the Thimble Rig, of course, isn't really a big deal. Penrose counts as a decoder. Hits the Slot Machine. And just like we thought, Thimble Rig and Hydra swap places. Might be time for Smoke to run this remote and get rid of Daily Quest. It's still going to be expensive either way, though. Slot Machine reveals only 1 subroutine. Smoke goes ahead and breaks it anyway. Little odd. Was it free for her to do so? Perhaps this is the last run that she's going to make, so she's just going to want to go ahead and break the stuff she... What? Uses SMC to go and find Corroder, and then uses Simulchip to bring back that Imp. That's a good use of Simulchip. Oh, I see. Okay, so the reason she did this, the reason she SMC'd for the Corroder is because that satisfied the condition of having a program be trashed, which allowed Simulchip to pull back Imp for free. Now, she accesses an unknown card and goes ahead and trashes it with Imp. However, she accessed a total of 3 cards because she spent 4 power counters. Didn't see anything good, though. Meanwhile, Asmari is continuing to gain 6 credits a turn because of SSL and Daily Quest. SSL is now out of credits, but they're sitting pretty at 17. They have no trouble paying for anything they might need. Smoke has really nothing to show for her last couple turns. Sure, she's trashed a couple corp cards and has her full rig set up, but what good does it do? 4 credits on Netmerker is nice, don't get me wrong, but her only stealth breaker is After Image. Corroder and Penrose are just simple, normal icebreakers. Sea Source? Is Sea Source still a legal card? I guess it is. So Sea Source... That's right, it's just Tag Storm mid-seasons that got removed. Yeah, Sea Source is still a thing. So Trace 3, give the runner 1 tag. He goes ahead and makes that tag stick by boosting the Trace up to 6, and then spends a click and 2 credits to trash Turning Wheel and Netmarker. Now that does bring Asmari down to 5 credits, but I don't think they care. Without Netmarker, Smoke really can't do anything. Netmarker is the linchpin in any Smoke engine, and losing not just the Netmarker itself, but also all of those counters that they had put on them, because you have to remember, Netmarker recurs itself, which is insane. Which means those 4 stealth credits were kind of almost 8 stealth credits, sort of. Now, Smoke, without Netmarker, decides to make an honest run on HQ, seeing only that IP block, uses Corroder to break IP block, and hits a hard-hitting news in HQ and spends the imp counter to bust, trash that hard-hitting news into archives. Probably pretty happy to do that. Protects her from getting super tagged. The real issue is, well, we just see more things hitting the table. In the favor of Asmari. Asmari double clicks an NGO and just reses it and takes the money. Says, I don't even need to play the mind games. I'm just taking this money. Daily Quest is still getting them 3 credits a turn. On the next turn, they're going to have 19 credits. They were at 5 credits a turn or 2 ago, and now they're going to be right back up to 19. It's not going to matter. Smoke is dead poor without Netmarker. She installs a simulchip, probably wanting to recur that imp. She does exactly that. I'm not quite sure what she trashed to satisfy simulchip's condition. Yeah, I'm a little confused. Oh, she spec worked her imp. Okay. She spec worked her imp to gain 4 credits and draw 2 cards. I think that's how that works. Yeah. So she spec worked the imp that had 0 counters, and that satisfied the condition of simulchip. She runs HQ. She sees a Rashida. I don't know why she spent the imp token to trash Rashida. I think she had the 2 credits. She should have just paid a credit to trash Rashida. Instead, she uses an imp token. I don't know, maybe it would have been too tasty for the corp to purge, so she thought, an imp token is worth a credit in this situation. I don't know. She goes ahead and Dirty Laundry's archives and then plays Hedge Fund. She does get a draw off the Dirty Laundry play, and then the double Hedge Fund will put her at 13 credits. Meanwhile, Asmari is still continuing to gain a ton of money from Daily Quest, decides to draw up to a total of 9 cards in HQ. What is he looking for? Their corp. What are they looking for? There's 2 hard-hitting newses in the bin, which you got to think is pretty rough, as Mario wants that 3rd hard-hitting news, if they even run a 3rd hard-hitting news. As Mario does only have a deck size of 40, so you got to think there's the possibility that they don't run a 3rd copy of hard-hitting news. Now, Smoke goes and checks archives, doesn't see anything interesting, runs HQ, runs into the Data Raven, pays 2 credits to bypass the Data Raven. It's probably just going to spend the real money to break IP block. Indeed does so. Now those 2 stealth credits for bypass was coming from Mantle and Smoke herself. So even though Netmarker is gone, she still has enough stealth credits. Oh, this is great. She runs into a C-Source and trashes the C-Source. So quickly, and she trashes the C-Source, of course, with that imp token. Quickly, Asmari's ability to tag the runner is disappearing. That's 2 C-Sources in the bin, 2 hard-hitting newses in the bin. Asmari typically doesn't run recursion. They don't need to. They just win the game so quickly that it doesn't matter. And they're looking at 13 cards in R&D. That's certainly not going to be... This game won't last 13 turns, more than likely. But you got to think, Asmari's on a little bit of a timer. The game's probably going to be over before then, though. We see the install double advance of the 15 minutes, and that's it. That's the game-winning move. Pity. I mean, that's certainly an out that Asmari, any NBN deck, should have. Well, it is a little anticlimactic. I would have loved to see that go on. See if Smoke could have done anything with her board state. She had just thrown down a Daily Cast and earned a couple Turning Wheel tokens. The ability to bypass Data Raven, quite strong, meaning that she avoids that on-encounter ability that gives her a tag. She gets through this server for a total of 5 credits. 2 of them are free, so really only 3 credits. Question was, could she have recurred her imp any more times? We see 2 simul chips in the bin. You would assume there's a 3rd simul chip in her hand. No, 3 simul chips in the bin. Yeah, so she couldn't recur imp anymore. No more fancy trash moves. It's kind of a nice little Smoke deck. I like that it only uses the 1 stealth breaker. The other 2 are your normals, because that's what really let her stay in this. A lot of stealth decks, if they run all 3 breakers as stealth breakers, then if you lose your Netmarker, you're just kind of out. But that is the strength of only using 1 stealth breaker. She was more than happy just to use Smoke herself and then the Mantle to pay for After Image's ability. Yeah, simple but sweet. Alright, we're going to see Max versus Asa. Max starting out with a very strong turn 1 with a double Daily Cast, preceded by what looked like a Gachapon. Should probably use Gachapon to install one of those Daily Casts, you would assume. Oh no, my mistake. She's Max, of course. She just trashed those normally. Like, that's what Max does. No, her turn was just Deuces Wild into Daily Cast, gain a credit. Anyway, and Ace's first turn was Ice, install a card in a remote. Now it's going back to Asa, who plays fully operational after creating another new remote, so they are going to gain 5 credits off of that. Actually, they choose to draw 2 cards, and then gain 3 credits total, of course, net gain, because fully operational costs a credit to use. Max runs R&D, sees Rashida, trashes it, and then installs a DDoS. Oh, that is not what a horizontal Asa deck wants to see. So this Asa group deck is clearly running horizontal. That's what you can learn by seeing the fully operational. Fully operational, of course, benefits from each server with a piece of ice and at least something in the server. Now, DDoS, of course, makes it so you can't res the outermost piece of ice on any server, which essentially turns off all of the ice of every server for 1 turn, whenever Max wants. Pretty strong, pretty bad for Asa in this matchup. Asa decides to draw after taking mandatory. Creates a new server. I assume they're going to use the Asa trigger to put a piece of ice in front of it. They do. And they ice archives. What? No, they take that back. Unintentionally. They ice R&D. So, they're not choosing to fight the DDoS. And Max goes ahead and just pops the DDoS. So she has free reign to run any of these servers. She runs HQ and sees another fully operational. Yeah, so right now that's going to be 5 triggers of fully operational, given all of these card states. Does it count? Wait. Read this with at least 1 piece of ice. No, 4 triggers of fully operational. HQ and R&D don't count, I believe. Anyway, runs... Oh, she's gonna Apocalypse. You're kidding me. That's hilarious. Alright, so what... I'm sure you saw it, but what happened there is she ran HQ, access fully operational, didn't care, ran R&D, access a virus cyber suite, Cyberdex virus suite, and then runs archives and Apox. Of course, we have another spectator with us who's also commenting on the game. He's saying that the corp should have realized it was APOC because of the Wonton destruction, the double Wonton destruction in Max's discard pile. The corp is saying, this is what I get for ordering dinner and playing Netrunner at the same time. I guess I'm glad that corp decides to just quit. Can't really blame him after getting APOC like that and then heckled by a random spectator. Oh well. To be honest, that game probably was over. The DDoS was annoying enough, and he's right, that was something even I missed. When you see a DDoS out of Anarch, you almost always have to assume it's Apocalypse. I mean, DDoS is a good card on its own, but you need to combo it with something. It's interesting, though. I suppose our spectator friend here did bring up a good point, that Wanton Destruction kind of gives away APOC as well, in addition to the DDoS, because once all of the cards are off the board and into archives, the next turn the runner can just Wanton Destruction HQ, and then literally the corp has no cards. Well, not literally, of course they get to keep a couple of them, but still. Wanton Destruction forces the corp to trash 3 cards, more if you have more clicks. But typically it's just always going to be 3 cards. I will admit the Acer group did make a questionable move by icing R&D, but because they didn't see the APOC play, they probably just expected to eat the DDoS effect. They were going to just say, okay, fine, DDoS me, and then I'll work through it and keep my board state the way I want it. Oh well. We'll jump out of this one and watch a new one here. Go with SSO versus LAT. Hopefully it's not that disgusting encore LAT strategy we saw a couple episodes ago. A couple turns into the game already, although SSO games tend to run very quickly. We're on turn 5. LAT is set up with a double Brzezicki and a Data Sucker, as well as a Hernando Cortez, which means that Ice is going to be more expensive to res for SSO if they have more than 10 credits, and of course Beth Kilrain. Just going to do what Beth Kilrain does. On the corpse side of the board, we see 4 pieces of 1 deep ice with advancement tokens on many of them, as well as another piece of ice on top of that remote piece of ice, which turns out to be a res border control, as well as a Hollywood renovation revealed on the install. Previously, LAT was able to steal a CityWorks project, and SSO was able to score a Hollywood renovation, which explains why there are so many advancement tokens on this piece of ice. You have to assume that's something that benefits from each advancement token, something like an ice wall, firewall, or a Colossus. So, they double advance the Hollywood, preceded by using mass commercialization to gain 8 credits. On the LAT side of the field, we see a Diesel. He did, on the in-between turns, install a Nanuk K and a turning wheel. He has plenty of money. What he really needs now are breakers. This isn't really any one person's game right now. He overwrites one of his Brzezikis to install a Corroder. He boomerangs the mystery ice with 10 pieces of advancement, or 10 advancement tokens on it. That's fantastic. This is another time where it's okay to res boomerang an unres piece of ice. It's a Mazvingo. Oh, that's too bad. Mazvingo has 6 billion subroutines right now. Well, I mean technically 11. LAT goes ahead and pays uses Boomerang to break 2 of those subroutines, but then he has to pay out the nose to break the rest of them with Corroder. And SSO goes ahead and uses Border Control to end the run. So Lat is stuck with 1 click and only 8 credits, not enough to get into that server with the Hollywood. That's too bad. If it was a Colossus or a Firewall or an Ice Wall, that would have been fine. I gotta remember Mazvingo, though. Mazvingo gets a subroutine for every advancement token on it. And look at this Hollywood renovation. Is that what it's called? Hollywood renovation is just adding more and more tokens to that Mazvingo. Now, this is very susceptible to bypass. This is very susceptible to ice trash. It's also very susceptible to Lamb. Although, didn't Lamb get removed from the game? I think Lamb might have been removed from the game. But it's also very susceptible to Sunny's Breakers. Because 2 credits from Sunny's Breakers would pierce... Well, 4 credits. 4 credits from Sunny's Breakers would pierce right through that Mazvingo. Lat licks his wounds and runs R&D, seeing a Colossus. Betting he wish he had that boomerang for Colossus here. Now he does have the Nanuk K and the money to break, because he played a hedge fund on click 1. However, the Colossus has 8 strength, and boosting strength on Nanuk K isn't cheap. It's a bad deal, it's 3 for 2. 3 credits for 2 strength. Which means he would need to boost, because Nanuk K always has 2 strength. He is data suckering, that's smart. He data suckers for -1 strength. And boosts Nanuk K. I don't know why he did that. Huh. Why did he give Colossus -1 strength? He should have given it -2 if it was going to do anything. Oh, well. At any rate, SSO is up 6 points to Lat's 3. See an archive memories, which pulls mass commercialization out of the bin. Played for 8 more credits. Lat concedes. Definitely understandable. SSO is one of those IDs where you're either in or you're out. Very swingy ID. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's very unique. However, this does tend to be the way the games go. There usually becomes a point in an SSO game where there is a clear winner and a clear loser. Either SSO has run away with the game and they've got a super powerful board state with all sorts of ice they can res that has either 10 billion strength, 10 billion subroutines, or in the case of space ice, is completely free for them to res. I don't know if Lat was completely out of this. I think it depended on his ability to make money. He drew a card off of Beth Kilrain Cheng and seeded. What was their out? I think perhaps one of their mistakes was installing that second Rizeki. Against SSO, you have to move quick, and Rizeki, of course, is an investment in the long run of a game. Although he did install it, seems like he probably installed that quite early. Looks like the first Rizeki hit the table on turn 1. And the second Rizeki hit the table on turn 2. Okay, makes a little more sense because this game did go on 8 turns, so the Rizeki would have paid itself more or less off, and then made a little bit of money on the side. Still though, against SSO you have to move pretty quick. He had the double piece in our time, that was something. The real unfortunate case was boomeranging the Mazvingo. Like, imagine if that had been a Colossus, that would have been hilarious. This would have been a very different game. Lat would have been able to boomerang the Colossus, he would have been able to get in for a meager 2 credits. Regardless of the strength of Colossus, he would have stolen the Hollywood. And this game would have been 6-3 on the other side of the table. I'm not sure that he was completely out. Wait a minute. Hernando Cortez forces the corp to spend an extra credit for each subroutine on the ice if the corp has at least 10 credits. When did they res Mazvingo? Did they lose a bunch of money to res Mazvingo? How many credits did they have? They ended their turn with 15 credits. Yeah, wait a minute. Why didn't Hernando Cortez fire? Is it printed subroutines? Equal to the number of subroutines on that ice. And Masvingo gains and the run for each advancement token on it. I think that was a little bit of a mistake, perhaps. I don't know, maybe there's a ruling on it, but shouldn't Masvingo have cost the Corp like 14 credits to res because of Hernando Cortez? I don't know. Oh well. We'll go to a new game here. I'm sure somebody can look that up if they're interested. Does Masvingo... Let me just take a look here. I'll type in Masvingo and Hernando Cortez and see if I get him hit. Now I'm getting the actual Hernando Cortez from history. Whatever. Let's go into the game we see an Argus match. Wayland versus Val. We already have an NGO front in the bin. Val's going to install their Amakua with an open archives. That looks pretty tasty to run. Argus might want to ice that up. Argus, meanwhile, has a single advanced card in Server 1 with an upgrade attached to it. You have to assume that's Prisec. Val goes ahead and pops Gachapon. Gachapon. Runs HQ. What did they install with Gachapon? Oh, they installed Amakua with Gachapon. That's what happened. They run into a spider web. They decided to end the run. And then they run R&D. They see a Mausolus. Mausolus fires, so that's 1 net damage, 1 tag, and the Corp gains a credit. Val hits. Val loses I've Had Worse to the net damage. Very happy to see that. That lets her draw 3 cards. She plays Mining Accident to gain a bad pub. Corp goes ahead and gives it to her. And then she spends the last click to remove a tag. Argus double advances the card in Server 1, which does end up being a false lead. Kind of makes you think he's on Hard-Hitting News kill. It will be up to Val to make sure she has more money than the Corp. An easy task at the current state of the game where she has 15 and the Corp only has 4. She sure gambles and runs archives to get that Data Sucker token and installs a Hippo for future ice destruction. She also has a liberated accounts with 12 credits on the table, so she has money when she needs it. Argus install double advances a hostile takeover. So Val now has even more bad pub. With the charged up Amakua, she runs into the spiderweb on HQ, pays 3 to break. But of course she has 3 bad pubs, so this is literally free for her to do. Acts as a high profile target, confirming that Argus is on kill. She then decides to draw and install an Earthrise. Gonna give her draw. And again, she has the money to do it. She did click another 4 credits off Lib account. Argus draws Ice's Archives to prevent the Amakua from getting more free counters, although at this point Spiderweb is free to break anyway, so not that big of a deal. And then IPOs. Val continues to run the free Spiderweb on HQ. Breaking again with those bad pub, running in with 17 credits. Let's see what she sees. She sees a false lead. Nice. Good to pick that up. Although, of course, the damage is done a little bit because Argus already has that one false lead. We've seen it before, but the strategy is, of course, to hard-hitting news the runner. Corp hard-hitting news the runner, and then pops false lead, so the runner can't shake the tags, and then the Corp high-profile targets them. Argus double draws after the mandatory draw, left with 7 cards in hand. Perhaps they're looking for... what? What could they be looking for? Ice? Money? The Corp seems upset because they feel that they've revealed... oh, whoops. They meant to draw only once. And they're asking if they can take back one of the draws. They accidentally double-clicked the draw. The runner says go ahead. So the Corp shuffles 1 card into R&D. So that was a single draw after the mandatory. Then there's an install in server 1 and install in the root of HQ. So 2 upgrades, or, well, actually not 2 upgrades. 1 upgrade on HQ, and then whatever is in server 1 has to be an asset or an agenda. Goes back to Val, who's still sitting at 16 credits. Not threatened by hard-hitting news at all right now. She sure gambles, apologies. She career fares an Ice Carver for free, so all Ice now has -1 strength. That much easier for Amakua to break into. And then she runs the remote server. Wayland, deciding whether or not they want to res this Ice, chooses not to. Val's going to access a Rashida Jahim, trashes that for free with a bad pub, sees a Prisec. Corp pays 2 credits to allow the Prisec to give meat damage and a tag. However, Val trashes the Prisec for free. No, for a single credit after the bad pub credits are gone. She spends a click to shake the tag. And is still just fine. Corp draws after a mandatory draw, installs another card in server 1, as well as an additional piece of ice to protect the remote. Val's... my mind blanked. Val's Earthrise Hotel expires, and she runs the remote on click 1, seeing a Mausolus. Ice Carver is going to drop the strength of Mausolus by 1, but unfortunately Amakua is just 1 strength point away and cannot break Mausolus. Not the end of the world, though. She's going to take a net damage and a tag. She'll have to shake that later, but that's okay. Oh, she realized that she had Gachapon installed, and she used Gachapon to pull Black Orchestra out of her R&D. They're going to redo the turn just so that the math on everything is fine. She Gachapons the Black Orchestra, installing it for a credit cheaper. Good use of Gachapon. I never thought about using it like that, sort of like an SMC. A little bit of a gambly SMC. Like, you might get what you're looking for, you might not. The -1 strength with Ice Carver really helps Black Orchestra against Mausolus. Confusingly, he goes ahead and double boosts it. Oh, I see. The reason, okay, normally what people do with Black Orchestra against Mausolus is they boost it to break 2 of the 3 subroutines and let the Corp gain a credit. However, she broke all the subroutines. The reason she did that was because she wanted to trash Mausolus with Hippo. She runs into the server, sees a Rashida, trashes the Rashida, installs a data folding as well as another Hippo. She got double data folding, dripping, econ, 2 credits a turn, as well as those 3 bad pub. The Corp draws and installs a fresh new piece of ice in the remote, followed by another card in server 1. although they're down to 6 credits. Very low. What? Solset Slums. It's been a while since I've seen this one. Once per turn, when you pay the trash cost of an access card, remove that card from the game instead of trashing it. It's very good against things like Breach Dome or Cyberdeck's Virus Suite, things like that. You can remove those things from the game, that way allowing archives to remain safe. It also prevents the corp from recurring certain cards. Val runs HQ, finds high-profile target, accesses Prysec, removes Prysec from the game, and shakes the tag. She is down to 7 credits. The corp install double advances hostile takeover, gaining 7 more credits and a point. Well, a net of 5 credits and a point, but giving Val another bad pub. Val installs Poemu. Just going to let her install cards. Argus decides to take this as their time to purge virus counters. Val goes ahead and continues to run HQ because she has a paperclip in the bin. She installs paperclip with that bad pub. Now, a strategy here is now to run into Spiderweb and let it end the run, and then run again and just break it with the newly refreshed bad pub. So she installed paperclip for free. Now she's going to use paperclip to spend 3 to break Spiderweb, also for free, with a bad pub. Left over with another bad pub to trash things in HQ if she accesses something with a trash cost. She accesses economic warfare. Nothing she can do about that. It also means that she can lose 4 credits anytime the corp wants. So she still needs to watch out for that hard-hitting news play. Especially if there are double economic warfares in HQ. There it is. Wait, what? Triple economic warfare? Why no hard-hitting news? Also, I'm a little confused why why Black Orchestra is trashed from... Yeah, I'm confused why Black Orchestra was trashed. Did I miss something? Wait, you can't just trash Black Orchestra. She did that because she wanted to keep the data folding credits running. You can't just choose to trash Black Orchestra. I mean, theoretically, she could have done it when she installed the paperclip, so I guess technically that's fine, but... Whoa, the game's moving at light speed suddenly. The corp was able to score a global food initiative. Largely because of that triple economic warfare play. The real problem is, now with economic warfare gone, the hard-hitting news play is almost non-existent. Val's back up to 18 credits. She also has 5 bad pub on any run. She's complaining that she hasn't found her console, but I think at this point she doesn't need her console. She doesn't need data folding's 2 credits a turn. Not with the bad pub she has. She runs HQ after installing a Gachapon. Uses Gachapon in the middle of the run to install the last data folding. Runs into a hard-hitting news. There's the hard-hitting news, but there's almost no way Argus is going to be able to play it. They're really going for the score-out win. If they draw their last hostile takeover, they've got it. And that's probably why you see here a draw hedge fund. You got to think, the fact that they chose to play the hedge fund, that almost kind of reveals that they have the hostile takeover in hand. Otherwise, the third click would have been a draw. Now, Maw hits the table. That's going to force the corp to trash a card from the hand. There was a misplay or something where Argus accidentally ended the run. Anyway, Val goes in for that HQ run, breaks through Spiderweb, and they're either going to steal something or Maw's going to force a trash. He accesses Hard-Hitting News, so a mystery card is trashed. Oh, okay, there's this weird Maw interaction where if the card that was trashed is the one that you're accessing, you see it. So he accessed Hard-Hitting News. Maw trashed Hard-Hitting News. Oh, but look at that. Argus doesn't have the hostile win in hand. I don't know why they're playing Hedge Fund. So I know it's really tempting to get those money cards and want to play them, but Hedge Fund doesn't win him the game. So the previous turn where he played Hedge Fund, he shouldn't have done that. He should have just drawn again. This turn where he drew Hedge Fund, he shouldn't have done that. He should have just kept drawing. All he needs is the hostile takeover in his hand in order to win the game. The fact that Val is running this server doesn't matter. This server literally doesn't matter. I mean, okay, theoretically it matters because if he draws a false lead, he can stick the false lead in here and try and score it out or something, but, like, all this guy needs is his hostile takeover. Now, he does have 15 cards to pull through to find it. Another option is if he runs 2-pointers, like if he runs the Atlas. He could install the Atlas, let the runner take 2 clicks, and then pop false lead, and then score out the Atlas for 3 points for the win. Now, Val runs HQ and uses Turning Wheel to access an additional card. They access Audacity. That's another out that the Corp has. If they have Audacity, they can fast advance and Atlas. Project Atlas. Mystery card is trashed due to Maw. There it is. So the card comes into the server, followed up by an Audacity, and there's the Project Atlas for the win. The runner regrets not drawing Maw earlier. I think it's their fault, though, for only running maybe one of them. 1 or 2. To be fair, Maw is a very expensive console. So yeah, that was a pretty frantic win for Argus at the end. They were on kill and decided to win through scoring. And then they won with that Audacity play. I'm really surprised that they didn't pop the false lead. That's probably what they should have done. When Val took 2 clicks on the last turn, they should have just popped false lead, because they didn't need it to win. Yeah, even the runner here is saying that false lead paralyzes you. I didn't feel like I could do anything. I don't know how I feel about that. I think this was Val's game to lose in a lot of ways. I know that sounds weird, but, like, she had all the money in the world. The moment that Argus triple economic warfared her is the signifier that the Corp is no longer going to be able to hard-hitting news her. But it's tough. I don't want to say that was Val's game to lose, because she was playing correctly. She was running HQ, she was trying to trash or access the agenda, she was trying to get rid of the Corp's key cards. No, it's not like Val misplayed this or something, although, I don't know. Like, what could Val have done better? I don't know if she needed the data foldings. Definitely not that third one. I know that's a weird thing to say, but data folding is a really bad card if the game doesn't last a very long time. Because it doesn't pay for itself until 4 turns after you play it. That's just to have it pay for itself. And then after that, it only makes as much as a daily cast 5 turns after that. So you have to think, in 9 turns, it's just a daily cast. Now after that, every credit that you make after that is pretty amazing. But the tempo hit is pretty hard when you install it. See, like this data folding here probably didn't make any money. But the real issue is that Valve didn't need money. But I do understand the pain of not drawing your maw when you really want it. The hippos were good. Hippoing certain pieces of ice. Maybe what she should have done is... I kind of... yeah, okay. So she had the turning wheel. At the point where you have the turning wheel, I think you just keep running HQ. You keep running HQ till you know every card in HQ. I don't understand why she contested the remote, though. And hippoed the data raven on the outside. Because this Argus was not winning through that remote. That remote was pointless. They were either winning because they draw the next hostile, or they were going to fast advance the Project Atlas. But that's easy for us to say in hindsight. In the middle of a game, it's hard to remember all these things. Let's take a look at another one. Oops. That one hadn't began yet. I think we just joined a bad game. A game that only had one user in it. No, cancel. Alright, we're going to have to refresh the page. Yeah, data folding is just one of those cards where you want it to be good so badly. And yet, there's a reason that data folding is typically never in a top tier deck. It's too slow. Far too slow. Doesn't stop me from putting it in my decks, though. Alright, let's give this a moment to wait, and then we'll be back when we're in the new one. Alright, we've got Reyna versus Grindel. Oh, this ID was removed. So, turn 1 from the corp is install double advance a hostile takeover. Draw an install of Plastic Carapace. We are definitely playing in the old format. And I believe Grindel, when they res a piece of ice, they can search for a new one? No, Grindel is just you start the game out with 10 credits and 1 bad pub. And 5 less influence. So, probably a rush deck, or perhaps even a kill deck. We have to assume that Scorched Earth is on the table because of the older format that these guys are running. But Plastic Carapace was the old way to deal with Scorched Earth. It basically eats an entire Scorched Earth on its own. It's a card that almost reads, prevent 1 Scorched Earth. So the runner installs Carapace, makes a run on R&D, takes a credit, passes it over. The Corp, weighing their options with 6 cards in hand, decides how they want to interact with a game where they have 2 bad pub. Creates a new remote. So you have to think, a deck like this either wants to rush out, or they either want to kill the runner. Now, Carapace is going to make that difficult. So they might need to choose how they navigate this next couple turns carefully. They do ice the remote, and then they ice R&D. Going back over to the runner, they draw a card. Probably looking to get some econ running. Now, Reyna, of course, benefits from the first time each turn a Corp Ice is rezzed. They install the all too well-known Armitage code busting. I think this is a good card. I know a lot of people hate this card. They say it's bad. I think it's a great card. Followed by Deep Red. That's the chess console. 3 MU for 2 credits, but that MU can only be used to host the chess pieces. And it allows you once a turn. No, on install. So when you install a chess piece, you can use its click ability for free, but only when you install it. We see the man himself, Jackson Howard, hitting the table. Toy man, toy peddler himself. A long time since I've seen the face of evil. Did not expect to see it this morning. Jackson Howard, of course, being infamous for being able to save 3 agendas from archives at instant speed and shuffle them right back into R&D, as well as the ability to draw 2 cards on a click. Very useful. This card would be good even if it couldn't draw you 2 cards on a click. The fact that it can makes it even better. This is also the reason why, back in this format, every ID read, you have 3 fewer influence points to spend if you aren't NBN, because every deck is running 3 Jackson Howards. It's just made NBN an even better faction to play. On top of Sansan Grid, breaking news, and all sorts of other shenanigans. The runner draws and takes 2 clicks. Contemplates their actions. I don't understand. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know why they took 2 clicks to take 2 credits. They realized their mistake. Corp is going to allow them to undo that. So they should have just clicked Armitage twice. A couple different ways they could fix this. They could undo turn. They could just set the counters on Armitage to 10 and boost the credits manually. Now, it's peculiar that Grendel has iced Jackson Howard. A lot of times you're safe to put Jackson Howard in an empty remote and just use him to save agendas at light speed. Now, the fact that Grendel doesn't have any... Well, they have 2 cards in archives. And both of them could be agendas, but remember, Jackson can save up to 3 cards. Any 3 cards, by the way. I keep forgetting that. People generally use it to save agendas, but it's any 3 cards. Any 3 cards you could want from archives. Anyway, all I'm trying to get at is that he probably doesn't want to use Jackson right away for his remove from game ability. He wants to use him for the draw ability. And so he's decided to go ahead and protect Jackson until such time as that remote server is needed to score an agenda. He could also just be dumping all of the agendas in archives while he draws through and gains all the pieces he needs. A data leak reversal is trashed from Reyna's grip. That reveals that this Reyna deck might be on a completely disgusting strategy that basically involves 4 clicks. The Corp mills 4 cards from R&D. Sorry, 5 clicks if you're running Joshua B. That data leak reversal only works if you are tagged, but oftentimes this strategy revolves around mitigating the downsides of being tagged. Right off the bat, the Corp decides to shuffle Jackson, or remove Jackson from the game to shuffle the 2 archives cards into R&D. Bit of a strange move to do that now, although it looks like it's because they wanted... No, it's not. They wanted to use that server, so they did exactly what we were talking about, where the moment that they want to use the server, they go ahead and remove Jackson from it by activating his ability, having previously taken advantage of the draw. Install double advance. Reyna responds by clicking up credits and playing Overmind, which is a nice little interaction with Kaisa, or sorry, Deep Red, giving Overmind 6 tokens. Now, of course, Overmind gains tokens to break ice subroutines dependent on your MU. It's not an amazing AI breaker, but it's very good when you don't have anything else installed at the moment. Goes back over to the Corp, and they just score a double tokened Atlas. So they're going to be able to pull anything out of their deck whenever they need it. Very strong effect. Probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, of all the 3/2s. Reyna draws, installs a medium. Oh, this disgusting thing. Okay, so for those youngins that perhaps weren't around for the medium days, medium reads, the runner accesses everything in R&D. I mean, it doesn't quite read that, but essentially, whenever you make a run on R&D, you put another counter on medium. With each virus counter on medium, you access another card. So not only can you use it to continually run R&D and see another new card with each run, but it also means that if the Corp draws a bunch of cards, then medium is seeing that many more cards on the next medium run. It is a very powerful card. Now on the Corp's turn, they decide to, well, sort of ignore the medium and not put more ice on R&D. They install double advance of new hostile takeover. Reyna continues to click up their Armitage using all of it, and runs that R&D to get the medium digs running. Their Overmind, having 6 tokens, means they're going to be able to break this ice wall 6 times for a meager 1 credit each. And because he has 3 bad pub, that's going to be free. So, and here's where the R&D medium dig happens. We're going to see a run on R&D, probably followed up by 2 more runs on R&D. Now, once the Overmind tokens are gone, this strategy can no longer continue, but the damage is almost kind of already done. Reyna really should just keep running R&D here. That's typically the strategy with medium. It's not very complicated. It is run R&D a lot. And what's even worse is once the runner has a very consistent way to get into R&D, even if the Corp purges, the runner just says, okay, and keeps running R&D because the Corp just gave them 4 more clicks to do whatever they want. Especially with the bad pub, the repeated... Oh, this is even worse. So instead of running R&D, Reyna decides to Parasite Ice Wall, which means on the next turn, I believe, Parasite will kill Ice Wall. So when Reyna's turn begins, Ice Wall will be destroyed. Now, Grendel could choose to manually advance Ice Wall, delaying the Parasite kill. Or they could just submit the Ice Wall to Parasite. They could also overwrite it with a new piece of ice, should they think they have a better chance with other ice. The Overmind breaker is particularly weak to multi-sub ice. So if you have a piece of ice with 2 or 3 subroutines, that drastically decreases the amount of time Overmind can be used. They do just that. They overwrite the ice on R&D knowing it's dead on the next turn anyway. And they put a new one there in its place. They draw a card. Slight misplay that should have drawn a card first, although the number of times I make that mistake is countless, so there you have it. It looks like they atlased for something that I missed. What did they atlas for? Oh, they atlased for the hostile takeover. An interesting choice. Especially because they could have done that at any time, and it gave Reyna a bad pub. Not that the extra bad pub has mattered yet. They then decide to ice HQ. Reyna draws twice. They need money. Reyna does, in order to use Overmind. They install Rook, which Deep Red is going to give them the ability to fire off Rook's click ability for free. What does Rook even do? If already hosted, Rook can be hosted only on ice protecting this server or on ice in the same position. The res cost of each ice protecting this server is increased by 2. Wow. Powerful move. Including Reyna's ID ability, that means this piece of ice on R&D is going to cost 3 extra credits to res. Reyna decides not to go in for the R&D digs that turn, having spent 2 credits to install the Rook. Still a little poor. Doesn't want to run into something on R&D that trashes her rig or something like that. Although from Wayland, I'm struggling to think of any good sentries that trash rigs. The only thing I'm thinking of is Rototurret. That's an HB ice. Surely there are other Wayland ice that trashes programs. Colossus does, right? But I don't know the exact rules of the format these two are using. This might be the snapshot format, where you play the game. Well, no, this couldn't be snapshot because they're using the older cards. I don't know. The corp says they're lagging and it's slowing down their turns that they can make. They go ahead and ice R&D and they oversight AI, a Hadrian's Wall. Powerful stuff. Typically you see this out of Blue Sun, where they can then pick it up and put it back into their grip and gain the money back. However, in this scenario, Oversight is used exactly as the base card itself. They're just using it at face value. They're using Oversight's ability at face value. They can res this ice for free. Hadrian's Wall, 7 strength, 2 end the run subs. But once Reyna breaks this, the ice is trashed. Reyna then finds their Knight. Now, Knight just allows you to break... Alright, there's a lot of interesting things that are going to happen here. Knight just reads, pay 2 credits, break a subroutine. So they can now run into Hadrian's Wall, pay 2 credits, and break both subroutines. So they essentially get rid of this for 4 credits. That's still something. That's not super cheap. Reyna certainly doesn't have the money to do that right now. The other issue is that Knight will be trashed along with Hadrian's Wall, because I believe the trigger condition is when all of its subroutines are broken during a single encounter, which means Knight will be lost at the same time. Also, the runner is claiming that they're not drawing their win condition, which is a little perplexing. Their win condition is right on the board. It is the medium. They also do point out that they lose Knight if they trash Hadrian's Wall. And also, interestingly, because Oversight AI allows you to res ice for free, the fact that Rook was increasing the res cost of all ice in the server, it didn't matter. 100% of a cost is still 100%. Reina's real issue is that they just don't have any money. We've only seen 3 cards in the bin, so we can't get a clear shot of what their deck is doing. But the only econ card is Armitage. And yep, there's that Joshua B strategy. So that for those of you who don't know or don't remember, I'm sure plenty of you do, the strategy is you use Joshua B to give yourself a tag at the beginning of your turn, which then gains you a click. Then you use Data Leak Reversal 5 times because you are technically tagged. And then depending on from there, certain people have ways to mitigate the fact that you're tagged. Some people use Wireless Net Pavilion, which increases the cost to trash things by 2. And they stack a bunch of Wireless Net Pavilions, so the corp has to pay like 7 billion credits to trash anything. There's also Fall Guy, which can be used to prevent the trashing of things like Joshua B or the Net Pavilions themselves. And in addition to Sacrificial Construct... Wait, no, that's not a part of the strategy. The runner just said, "Good game, I'm tired," and quit. Aight. Cool. Works for me. Yeah, overall, it was kind of a slow game. Not a lot happened. Kind of feels like Grindel was probably going to win. If I had to say, I would say that this Reina deck just didn't have enough economy. I mean, there's a little bit of economy, but Sure Gamble and Armitage aren't going to be enough on their own. Strange format. Not sure what they were going for precisely. We'll watch one more here. We'll watch a... My goodness, Exile. Oh, wait. These are the same 2 guys. These 2 guys are playing a weird old format. They're more than welcome to have fun in any way they wish. However, I am a little more interested in watching standard formats today. Oh my goodness, it's an Apex. It's an Apex with 4 tags and 3 points. Alright, let's see what's going on in this game. We have Gagarin versus our Hungry AI. And a simulator's on the table, and Spycam reveals that it is probably a deck that doesn't use Apocalypse. I know that's a kind of a big jump to see a Spycam and immediately assume that the deck doesn't use Apocalypse, but the reason for that is because Spycam indicates they want to trash cards on the corpse turn to trigger their Wastelands, and if you're using Wasteland, you're not using Apocalypse. It's that simple. This is Gagarin. Very brutal ID in the right hands with the right setup. And this does indeed seem to be the brutal version. We already see 2 Mamba Temples, which means Gagarin's going to be able to res almost anything for free once a round rather. We already see the Commercial Banker group hit the table, so Gagarin's gaining 3 credits a turn, and the Daily Business Show just clinches the fact that they are going to draw only what they want, being able to bottom agendas when they don't want them, as well as 2 mystery cards, which could be things like Jeeves, Haas-Bioroid, Rashida, or another Commercial Bankers group. The other option, of course, is that it could be team sponsorship. Oh, it's already over. That makes sense. Apex didn't really stand much of a chance anyway. Yeah, this is Chopbot Apex. Chopbot Apex, once set up, can be good. Can be. It takes a long time to set it up, though. I don't understand this simulator install. I don't know what could have been so valuable that they wanted to assimilate. Assimilate is, I hate to say this, Assimilate's a bad card. It's a really bad card. If your strategy revolves around it, it's going to be way too slow. Yeah, Chopbot Apex just wants the engine built up. They play like a slow Shaper. Shaper's already kind of slow, so... Anyway, we'll jump into another one here. Hoshko versus Sports Metal. Sports Metal! Double Day of the Cast with Hedge Fund and Code Breaker, Black Orchestra in the bin. It is a Jinja Sports Metal who already has 2 ice on their remote, and ice on R&D, and ice on 2 ice on R&D now, and ice in HQ, a completely blank HQ. Nothing in HQ. Mystery cards installed in server 1. Hoshko double draws and Dirty Laundry's archives. And installs the Poemu. It's going to allow her to get that drip econ to install non-connection cards. Rashida fires, drawing 3 more cards, plus the mandatory. Sports Metal, very happy to see that. Interestingly, does not trigger Jinja, either because they don't want to reveal ice or they didn't draw any. They install another new card in server 1 and play IPO. The response of Hoshko is to lib count into a gachapon, flips their ID because they didn't access anything. It is another Rashida. In some ways, the Corp is happy to see this. It gets the Rashidas up and running, they get that tempo, they get those cards, they get the money. The Rashidas aren't being trashed by the runner at a later date when a single credit isn't a big deal. There is the reveal on a piece of ice installed with Jinja. It is a Fairchild 3. An install advance of a card in server 1 followed up by the installation of another card. So one of those has to be... One or both has to be an upgrade, although you have to assume one of them is an agenda. Hoshko decides not to contest the remote, runs R&D, uses Street Peddler to install a chisel, and then Devil Charms the slot machine. So that interaction essentially is chisel is like the fixed parasite. So because the strength of the ice was 0, chisel then immediately trashes it. Hoshko runs, finds a satyr, does the exact same thing with a gachapon trigger, I think. Wait, how did that work? So they simul-chipped chisel. How did they get the devil trigger back? The devil charm? I don't know. Anyway, they did the same thing. They basically devil charmed... They devil charmed the 2 pieces of ice on R&D and trashed them both with chisel. Of course, devil charm has to be removed from the game. There is another satyr. So she runs into the satyr and bounces off of it. Decides to dirty laundry same server. Installs Paperclip with SMC. Gonna see what that upgrade is on R&D. It's probably a Jinja. You might want to trash that if it is. She has the money to do so. She pays 1 to trash NGO front off the top of R&D and does pay the 5 to trash Jinja. So R&D is looking pretty vulnerable. The Corp double advances and then reses an Ash, which was an accident. They didn't mean to. Little unfortunate. Does give away the hidden information that's an Ash in the server, but you did have to assume it was an upgrade of some kind, and coming from HB, Ash is a pretty safe bet. Corporate sales team is scored, giving the Corp 10 credits over the course of 5 rounds or 10 turns. Street Peddler comes down from Hoshko. Gotta think she's on that trash game, right? She's in that trash ice mindset. Having used a single chisel and a simul chip, Trashed 2 pieces of ice on R&D already. Also, because of the removal of the Ginger Grid, the Corp now has to spend real money and real clicks to install things on R&D. A new card goes into Server 1 and a new piece of ice on R&D, followed up by an IPO. Hoshko now needs to decide how she responds to this. Does she contest the remote? Probably not. She double draws. Triple draws. Looking for something. Hedge funds. Probably he's going to pitch some bin breakers here. No, pitches liberated account? Why on earth would you pitch a lib account? Maybe it's too slow. Maybe she doesn't need the money. She doesn't feel pressured to need the money. Anyway, she did also pitch an MK Ultra. That's a bold move, getting rid of a lib account. Lib account is usually a pretty staple money card, so she must not feel like she needs it. There must be something else she's keeping in hand that's better. Double advance on the card in Server 1. They also revealed that they drew a rototurret and they installed it as the 4th piece of ice on Server 1. Really feels like Hoshko just is never going to go into that remote. Project Vitruvius is scored. Sports Metal draws 2 cards, reveals that they drew Fairchild, and also installs it on the remote. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like Sports Metal is getting a little too ambitious with that remote. I feel like they probably could have held on to that Fairchild and maybe installed it on HQ or R&D. Yep, because here comes the R&D plays. There's a run on HQ, which reveals nothing important, a Hagen, and then a Stargate run on R&D. An Ichi is rezzed, MK Ultra installed, break the Ichi. There's also going to be an encounter with Satyr, which is going to cost Paperclip 3 credits to break. Hippo's the Ichi. So now that makes Satyr only cost 2 credits to break. So Hoshko can now get into R&D for a meager 2 credits. Which she definitely has the money to do. Paladin Poemu, of course, helping with those install costs. Hoshko's game plan seems to very much just be focused on R&D, and this is why I don't agree with Sports Metal's choice to reveal and install the Fairchild 3 on the remote server. I don't think she cares about that remote server. Stargate reveals Hagen, Biotic Labor, and Surveyor. She goes ahead and trashes the Surveyor. That makes sense, although it's a shame to see the Biotic Labor go through. Mandatory draw draws the Hagen. So the Biotic Labor... Is there a shuffle after this? No, there's no shuffle. So the Corp mandatory draws into the Biotic Labor. So the Biotic Labor is in hand. That's a pity. I mean, it's a tough choice as Hoshko, right? Both Surveyor and Biotic Labor are tasty picks. But I guess if she keeps up the pressure and has a solid R&D lock, then an agenda should never come through to enter the hands of Sports Metal. Although that's not really going to be possible because Sports Metal is going to be able to draw whenever an agenda is scored or stolen. I don't know. Another Stargate run comes through. Hagen is broken by Paperclip as well as Satyr. And the revelation on R&D is another Hagen, a global food, and a punitive counterstrike. Hoshko goes ahead and trashes the global food under no pressure to go in there and steal it, especially not now that she knows a punitive counterstrike is potentially coming out of Sports Metal. Sports Metal now has to manually install these pieces of ice. You have to assume that new piece of ice is a Hagen, since that was revealed by the Stargate. Hoshko uses liberated accounts to get a bunch of money. Yep, there's the new Hagen. It's going to be 3 to break through each of those Hagens, plus now 4 to break Satyr. So a total of 10 credits to get into the server just to trash 1 card. Very disappointing. Really wish Hoshko had kept that other lib account. She reveals punitive counterstrike, Satyr, and Project Vitruvius. She trashes the Vitruvius. Uses the lib account, jump up to that 7 credits. Now, unfortunately, there's only 4 points in the bin. It's not enough for Hoshko to win. At the moment that she runs that archive server, Sports Metal gets to choose whether or not they want to gain 2 credits and 2 card draw, or 4 credits or 4 card draw. They reveal another piece of ice, a satyr, that they put on the remote. I don't understand that. Hoshko's not going for that remote, buddy. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's where the Omar rebirth comes into play. There's a run on archives, treated as a run on R&D. Accesses a violet level, trashes the violet level, as well as getting a turning wheel counter. Sports Metal is forced to ice archives now. Omar now runs through archives again. So Sports Metal has to choose whether or not they want to res this. They do. It's a Hagen. 3 credits again to break for Omar. Omar acts as an unseen card, but gets another turning wheel counter, double draws, and clicks for a credit. The only thing holding Omar back now is money. There's an install of a new card in server 1. The other issue here is all that ice on that server. Okay, there's one thing I can say in the defense of Sports Metal. Maybe he's doing all of this installation of ice on the server because he only wants to res 1 surveyor, and the surveyor or satyr or what have you gets more strength. If it's a satyr, it's 4 credits to res, so he could do that. Surveyor is a little more pricey. Isn't it 8? Oh my goodness, Surveyor's only 5 credits to res. Okay. Anyway, that's probably why he's continuing to install ice here, is because it's giving his other ice extra strength. Omar ran archives and trashed the Hagen with a hippo. Sports Metal responds by putting another piece of ice on archives and an upgrade, which you have to assume is either Jinja or Ash. He goes ahead and calls Sports Metal bluff. He says, go ahead, I'm going to keep running archives. Res that ice. Show me what that upgrade is. You're going to be poor in one way or the other. Resed, it is an Ichi. You can click through that. Omar says, go ahead and fire all those subroutines. That's a little ambitious. Why on earth? What? No. So, the corp decides to trash both the breakers? Okay, I guess it's because they're not afraid of Stargate anymore. And they get to do Trace 1, do a brain damage. Omar pays the 1 to increase their link to 1, preventing the brain damage. Perhaps Omar's plan is just to keep running through Ichi, saying, you know what? Go ahead, trash my stuff. Oh my goodness. And there's the steal. There's 4 points in archives. Now Sports Metal gets to draw 2 or take 2 credits. They choose to take 2 credits. Omar then triple clicks because all they need to do is keep fighting this trace. Fighting this trace from Ichi. And they can just say, go ahead, trash my programs. I'm running through here anyway. I think that's what Omar is doing. So the next turn, he's going to do another Omar run, because the moment that he finds one more agenda is the moment he can just run right through into archives, get 4 points, and win the game. Now, I know I gave Sports Metal the benefit of the doubt and said, okay, maybe they were stacking ice here so that they could res something that has extra strength, like a satyr or something. But really, feels like another piece of ice here would really help prevent this strategy from happening. I suppose it would just get trashed again, though, by Omar. Yeah, let me, of course, back up and say that the Anarch player here is doing a very good job. They have a very interesting deck that runs R&D with Stargate, forcing the Corp to install and res a bunch of things, and then trashes a bunch of it, then turns into Omar, runs archives, forcing the corp to ice archives, and then after all of this, he can just make an honest run on HQ, or an honest run on the remote, if the corp drops down to, 0 credits. The magic number is 4. There's probably a satyr on this server, so a satyr with like 1 billion strength can be rezzed for 4 credits, and obviously a surveyor with 5 credits. Omar keeps running. Now there's an Ash installed on R&D. I don't know how he took a tag. Why did he take a tag? Where did that tag come from? Oh, I didn't realize Ichi also gave a tag on top of the brain damage. Okay, so what happened there is he ran into R&D. The Ash was rezzed, which forced Omar to only access Ash. And then Omar had to shake the tag from Ichi. He clicks up the 3 credits and runs right back in. Says, okay, go ahead, show me your next Ash. Because he knows 3 credits is all he needs. He's not going to fight the Ichi trace. Ichi fires. He doesn't fight the Ichi trace. He's taking more and more brain damage. He runs into R&D, accesses the Ash. Ash isn't rezzed or used. I don't know if I agree with trashing it, but okay. I feel like he really wanted the corp to use that. Now he's tagged. The corp could spend 2 credits and a click to bust Turning Wheel. Instead, he scores the Vitruvius. It's quite down to the line on both players. Both players are playing very well. And there's the trash of the Turning Wheel, which makes sense. Omar runs in again. Now he doesn't need to worry about really much of anything. He doesn't need to worry about Ash or anything like that. He doesn't fight. Oh, and that's game. So he scores another agenda off the top of R&D due to the Omar run. He's not fighting the Ichi traces, not fighting anything like that. The corp admits good game. It was very close. Very sneaky runner deck. And definitely the runner played to their strengths. I do wish the corp had maybe saved a piece of ice or 2 from this server to throw on archives. The issue is then this deck's strategy allows you to pick and choose your servers. Because if he had iced archives, Omar just would have started running HQ. He just would have started running this remote. So it's a tough choice, no matter what you do. It just came down to whether or not Omar got lucky enough to get an agenda off the top of R&D. And Omar's clock was ticking, don't get me wrong. Like, 2 tags, his resources are gone. 3 brain damage. It's not like this could keep going on forever. But it could go on long enough. And that's what allowed the runner to win. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you guys had fun. Hopefully my analytics weren't the worst thing you've ever seen. I know I tend to mix up a lot of words while I cast, and that can lead to some confusing situations. But hopefully you know what I mean, not what I say. And I have noticed that when I go back and rewatch some of these, I make plenty of mistakes. So, no one's perfect. No Netrunner player is perfect. I am not perfect. I make plenty of mistakes, even though I attempt to point out the strategical faults of people playing the game. That is in by no means a manner of speaking, though, where I'm trying to say that I am superior, because I am not. I'm very grateful for anyone who's playing these games and allowing us to spectate them, as well as just the chance to be in a world where Netrunner can be observed and played and watched so casually at the ease of our computer. And at any rate, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe out there on the nets.